Welcome to my off-grid adventures. I'm Frank, and it's another beautiful day here in Michigan, and I'm very excited about the projects that I have to complete today. I've been waiting quite a while to get these parts and to make this upgrade to our off-grid RV. Today I'm going to be replacing my standard lead-acid battery with a Renogy REGO system that's a 12-volt 400 amp hour lithium battery. So I'm really excited about that upgrade. I finally got all the parts I need to make this happen, including the Anderson connector, which I didn't realize I needed and was on back order. But now I think I have everything and I'm excited to get this done. But in order to upgrade to a lithium battery, I also need to change out the charge converter. I hope you'll stick around and watch as we figure this out and get this done today. It's the next day and everything is finished. I just wanted to tell you a few things before I walk you through the steps of how this went. It did go very well. I'm very happy with how everything turned out. I'm just relieved I was able to even do it. I've never done anything like this before. It isn't a super simple job to do. It's definitely not plug and play in any capacity, at least with the RV that I had. If you have an RV that has a lithium ready charge converter and an Anderson connector ready to plug in, yeah, it'd be plug and play. But I didn't have those things, and I also wanted to change the location of the batteries, so there were a lot of things to do. It took me 4 hours, but that was from installing the battery and the cables, and then also going inside, changing the charge controller, and also installing a device that lets the battery communicate with the Wi-Fi. It has Bluetooth built in. I thought it had Wi-Fi built in, but it's just Wi-Fi ready kind of, but only with this extra device that has to be plugged into power to run. So that was a little bit disappointing because I do want to be able to monitor battery usage when I'm away from the RV. But it went really well. It took me just over 4 hours and about 10 minutes completely from start to finish. I have timestamps of my security cameras from when I was outside working on it and when I left the area to go grab lunch. So I know exactly how long it took, but it would have taken at least an hour less if I hadn't made a really dumb mistake of dropping something that I lost and then have to hunt for it forever. That's just how things go with me. I tend to always do that. It's just part of a project for me, but I was able to get it done, and I was just really relieved that everything worked, especially messing with electrical like this. So I'll show you the steps. I'll explain a few things. First thing on the list is to move the battery location from the tongue of the RV, where it currently is, to the inside of our pass-through compartment. That means I have to drill some holes within the bottom of the underbelly of the RV, just large enough for these very large cables that have to be attached to the Anderson connector. So that's the first thing, and we'll get started on that. This is that Anderson connector that I didn't have in the RV and couldn't find anywhere. I ended up getting it from Best Buy. They were the only ones that had it in stock. Not even Renogy had it. So these have to be fished through the hole that I drilled, and it's very large, but it should do the job and be a good solution for this. Alright, what I'm going to do is put this through the hole and then pull this through the hole that I've made in the floor and through the underbelly. Hopefully that'll work. Alright, that's one through. Next we'll do the red. Positive. I really gotta lose weight. So I got to thinking, maybe I'm not fat. Maybe it's just that I have too poofy of a coat. So I'll try taking that off and see if I can get in here better. Yeah, that was it. That was definitely it. So I don't have to add that to my New Year's resolutions after all. I honestly didn't think that was going to work. I thought for sure I was going to have to drill a bigger hole, but it fit. It's snug, but it fit. So I have those 2 wires and my Starlink cable all going through that hole. That's step 1, and that was an intimidating step for me, so I'm glad to have that done so easily. It would be surprising if everything was as simple as that, but let's hope, and here we go. This is the next step. I need to connect those cords that I just pulled through. I have to connect them to what's called a bus bar, which I have on here now, but I don't know if it's large enough, so I may have to replace it. And I do have a couple different sizes just so that I don't have to wait to order another part and then leave this RV without power. So let's start taking this apart and see what we've got. First I had to turn the generator off, and now I need to unplug the current battery, and then I can start fiddling with that bus bar and see what I need to do. I've always used these for the battery. They're just so much easier to put on and off, and I really haven't had any trouble with them. I'm going to get this out of the way. By the way, this isn't just an upgrade, it was a necessity. That battery wasn't working well anymore, so I had to change it with something. Let me double check and make sure there's no power anywhere. Nope, the light on the pass-through compartment is off. Let's take a look at what we have here. These are the 2 that have to be connected to the red and black now. So I need to see what's there at the moment. Notice how I grabbed the right socket the first time. This is my day-to-day. Eventually I found that lost screw. Then I zip tied each section of wire together so I could easily identify how to return them to their correct positions. Then I put the new leads where the old ones were and ratcheted everything back snug like it was originally. This is how everything looked when I finished this step of the project. I clicked the 2 Anderson connectors together and checked to see if the pass-through compartment light went on. I was so relieved when it did. It works. But I also wanted to explain why I made this change. It was a necessity because my old battery was failing. So I needed something. I could have just gotten another lead acid battery. It would have been a lot cheaper and easier, and it would have been plug and play. But there were a few reasons why I wanted to make this upgrade, besides all the hype that you see from other YouTubers in the RV community online. One of the main reasons is that we have had issues with trespassers, and one of the things they've done is tamper with my RV, and especially with the battery. So I wanted to get it enclosed and locked up, so now it's out of the way. But you can't put a lead acid battery inside. It has to be vented, so that wasn't an option. So that was one of the reasons. The other was that I had tried to do this lithium upgrade with Battleborn equipment, and I got everything ordered. I had it all laid out, and I looked at it, and there were just so many components that I just was intimidated, and I sent it all back. I just couldn't figure it out. There are 3 things that are built into this battery that were separate items when I had the Battleborn system ready to install. It has a built-in heater, it has a built-in battery monitor, and because of the built-in battery monitor, it doesn't require a shunt. The shunt is only needed when you have to connect the battery to the battery monitor. So it eliminates the need to install a battery monitor, shunt, and battery heater. So those were 3 parts I didn't have to figure out. I'm also glad that it has a relatively automatic heater system, where the one with Battleborn looked like it required a bit more manual work than I wanted to do. So if I had gone with that Battleborn system, in addition to everything I did, I would have also had to install a heater, figure out how to use the heater. I would have had to install the shunt and then also the battery monitor and figure out how to use each of those things separately. So it's really nice to have it all built into one system. This is also very compact. It fits nicely within my pass-through compartment, fits nicer in there than I do, obviously. And it has a few inches of clearance, and then when you lift up the compartment on the inside of the RV to access the pass-through, then you can see the buttons and see all of the LED lights on there. So I am thankful I have that. Otherwise, you'd have to use some kind of a mirror system like a dentist to be able to see what's going on the top, because you don't have any indicators on the sides. But it doesn't take a lot of space. Just a lot of really good things about this. So as long as it holds up and works well, I'm super happy with it, especially when the price of this, when it was on, it's on sale now. And I even have a code that they give everyone who buys it. You can get like 7 or 8% off if you use the code. I'll have that code on the screen and in the description if you want to use it. I used it from another YouTuber and was really excited to get that discount. So they give me a little kickback for you using that code, but you get that extra 7 or 8% off too. So I recommend you use it and buy directly from them. It is cheaper than when you buy from Amazon when you use that code. But the price of this was about the same as a 100 amp hour Battleborn battery, and this is 400. So that, in combination with the elimination of two things that I didn't want to have to figure out how to install, really convinced me that this was the time to do this upgrade. And I am very glad that I did. It did require replacing the fuse board. It required replacing the charge controller. And in doing that fuse board swap, which came with the charge controller, thankfully, I didn't know that it did. But that meant every wire in the fuse box had to be disconnected and reconnected, and all the fuses had to be disconnected and reconnected to a new board. So like everything in there had to be rewired, as well as what was in the front of the RV had to be taken off and put into a new setup that worked with the large cables that came off of this Anderson connector. So I still have a couple of things to figure out. I don't know how to connect a inverter. It's supposed to be connected directly to the REGO system, but there aren't any terminals to do that. So I need to figure that out. But right now, everything that I need is running. And the next step is going to be installing 4 of the Renogy solar panels that just came in the mail yesterday. I'll be doing that soon. But very happy with this. So to recap, there are 3 things that I like about the Renogy REGO 400 amp hour 12 volt lithium smart battery. Number 1, it simplified the installation process by eliminating the need for 3 components. Number 2, it was very reasonably priced compared to a Battleborn equivalent. And number 3, it's compact and takes less space to store. I have no regrets and I'm very happy with my decision. But I do want to tell you about 3 surprises that I wasn't aware of at the time of purchase. Even though this is a very high-tech battery, you should be aware there's really only one button on it. And you could do different things by how long you hold and press it and what you do after you hold and press it for 3 or 8 seconds. So you have to figure that out. And I was hoping more controls would be within the app, but the app really is just a monitor. It doesn't shut it off. It doesn't seem like it has any ability to force interaction. I would say, though, there are a couple of things that don't come with it. If you don't have an Anderson connector built into your RV or whatever you're using this battery for, you're going to need to get the other side, something that you can connect to your system that you're powering. So make sure that you get that ahead of time. Make sure you get the bus bars that you're going to need, and make sure you know what size diameter of bolts need to be in that bus bar to fit not just the battery cables, but also whatever you have on your RV. And if you care about Wi-Fi access, make sure you buy that extra device too. That sadly cost a couple $100 more. But if that's important to you and you don't just want Bluetooth access, then you're going to need to get that. I hope you enjoyed this video of watching me install this REGO system. And if you're interested in buying one, again, please use that code so that you can get an extra discount and I get a little kickback for the recommendation. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. That helps my channel a lot. And subscribe for more content about off-grid living, how-to videos, and product reviews like this. Thank you for watching.